Welcome everybody to my channel, Daily Inspiration with Geely. I hope you all had a good day. I had a good day. God has been good. I just want to share some little things with you. You know, um, sometimes we share common experiences in our lives and we handle them in different ways. And I'm going to share something with you and you can determine whether or not you've had similar experiences. Many years ago when I was pregnant with my daughter, when it was near time for her to be born, I had packed my bags and everything was ready so that if I needed to move quickly, I could. So one day I was at work and I wasn't feeling well at all. And I really felt dizzy and out of sorts. I'd never felt like that before and I wanted to go home. So I called my husband and told him that I was going to go home and asked him to bring me patty and meatloaf. And my girlfriend was going to take me home. But before I actually left the office, I went to the personal officer and told her that I wasn't feeling well and I needed to go home. And she asked me how I felt, and I was telling her that I felt a little dizzy. And she said, I need to go to the hospital. And I said, no, I don't want to go to the doctor and I don't want to go to the hospital. And she said, yes, you need to go. And I said, I don't want to. And she was insisting, and I said, okay. But I had in my mind that all I needed was to get into my bed and go and lie down. So when my girlfriend got to the top of the road with me, she turned in the opposite direction from home. And I said to her, Sandy, where are you going? And she said, she's taking me to the hospital. And I said, I don't want to go to the hospital, man. Why are you taking me to the hospital? Jackie says I'm to take you to the hospital. And I was really very upset. And she said, Jackie says I'm to take you and I'm taking you. And I said, all right. So when we got to the hospital, the nurse took my vitals and she looked at me and she said, Mother, if you had gone home, you would have come back a corpse. She said, your pressure is so high that I can't even allow you to move from where you're sitting. I'm going to have to put you in a wheelchair and get you to a bed. And I was so shocked. And when she was asking me my name, I couldn't even remember my name. I was in shock. But you know what? Sandy was crying. And I was wondering why Sandy was crying. Up to this day, I didn't ask Sandy why she was crying. But I think perhaps she must have been crying because she was saying to herself, what if she hadn't listened to Jackie and taken me to the hospital instead of listening to me and taking me home? What could have happened? And I was they dealt with me and took me to the bed, and I spent 8 days in the hospital. I went in there and I shared a room with a young lady, and people kept coming, people kept coming. The room was always full because I don't know how word got out that I was in the hospital, and people kept coming. That room was always packed up and noisy, laughter and everything, everybody coming to see me. And I remember one day when they had removed my roommate and taken her to be induced. So I was there alone, and I was crying. I'm in the place crying, and the nurse came in and said to me, Mrs. J, what is the matter with you? And I said, I feel so lonely in here all by myself. And she said, you shouldn't be lonely because every minute somebody come to look for you. She said, somebody soon come. And just as a matter of fact, let me go finish what I'm doing and I'll come and sit with you for a little bit. And by the time she left, husband came. So when she came back to sit with me and saw him, she started laughing and she said, I told you somebody would come because people always keep coming. And I was all right until he left and stuff like that. I think they put another young lady in the room, or I was discharged. I really don't remember what happened. But I remember after I got back home, um I was home for a few weeks. I don't remember how long. But anyway, I was home, and then my neighbors, we weren't talking yet because we were fairly new to the community, and you know how people are, you people, everybody works and they go back and forth. And one morning they saw me in the yard. After we became friends, they told me that they saw me in the yard and they thought that I had lost the baby, because they discovered that I had gone to the hospital, and they thought I had lost the baby, and they were commiserating with me among themselves and saying, oh boy, she lose her baby and stuff like that and what have you. But then they missed me from home again, and I was gone for a week because I spent 8 days in the hospital because the baby came by cesarean section. So when I got back home now, they discovered that the baby hadn't come really. But you know, that morning before I had the baby, I felt some pains in my tummy, and I said that I'm having gas pains, and husband said it's not gas pains, is contractions you're having. And I'm saying, how do you know I'm having contractions? And he said yes. And then I'd gone to the bathroom, and I felt like a little thing had popped. And I remember that my what you call her now, my physiotherapist, she used to come and give me the Lamaze classes at home, and she had told us what to expect and said that, you know, how what would happen. And then after that little plug popped, and I told him, and then I um discovered that there was a little fluid coming down my leg and all of that, but the water hadn't burst, and I wanted to have my breakfast, and the gentleman would not give me the breakfast. They said that if you're going into labor you mustn't eat, and because suppose you have to have surgery. Well, can I tell you? And he took me to the hospital, and I went into labor. I hadn't dilated. I just dilated for like about 3 centimeters, and I was there from morning until way down in the evening at about 6 o'clock when they got my doctor to come, and he was so annoyed that they hadn't done anything. Anyway, I ended up having to get a cesarean section, and the baby got a cut in the back of her head. Happily, it was the back of her head, because they said that I was in labor for so long that my uterus got thin, and she got the cut. The doctors were quite nice about it. They waited until I recovered and they came to me, although they told her father. They came by my bedside and they told me that because my uterus had got thin, when they were cutting, they accidentally cut her in her head and they had to stitch it up. So you want to see her, the little something with stitches in the back of her head. And we spent a few days in the hospital, and then we came home. But you know how babies do things quickly these days. I remember one day, I think it might have been the third or the fourth day, somewhere around there, the nurse came to see me, and I was so excited and telling her how the baby lifted up her head and was looking around. And the woman looked at me and told me that I'm lying. She said, you're lying, the baby cannot do that. And I said, yes, yes, she did. And she said, no. And I felt so embarrassed, and I stopped talking. And I think it was the following day I had to go to the bathroom. And you know, because I have the cut, I walked slowly, and the baby must have been crying, and she went down there. And lo and behold, when I got back, I don't remember what I was doing, and the baby lifted up her head and was looking around again, and the woman was there, and I looked at her and she looked at the baby. I never said a word, and she apologized to me, and she said if she hadn't seen it for herself, she would not have believed it, because she was just born, not even a week. She's not supposed to be able to do that. That is what she said. But I know nowadays that babies do all sorts of things way before the time, because even when she was when she was like about 3 months old and she had teeth. I thought that that was a normal thing. I didn't know that babies, sometimes some babies wait for a longer time to break teeth and all of that. A lot of things happened with that baby that I didn't know, because I don't have siblings and have friends who had babies. I really never had any babies to deal with. So this was the first baby that I had to deal with. And she was one of a kind baby. But sometimes all sorts of things happen when you have babies, and people tell you things and you have all sorts of experiences and you wonder. But that one, with the nurse having said that if I had gone home, I would have come back a corpse because my pressure had gone up. Because what I had was preeclampsia. So that meant I had edema, swelling of the feet, uh, protein in the urine, and the blood pressure elevated. But thank God Sandy had listened to Jackie and took me to the hospital instead of taking me home, because on top of having gone home, I had asked husband to bring patty and meatloaf, and all those two things are so salty. Can you imagine? I get the chills when I think about it, but I just know that God is so good, so marvelous, and so caring and protective of us, even when we don't deserve it. I just thought I would share that with you. And, you know, think about the experiences that you've had with your children when you were pregnant or after you had them, and see whether you had anything as frightening as the nurse telling me that I would have come back as a corpse. Praise God. I'm still here. God is good. And my children are doing all right by the grace of God. Pray me up, somebody. Thank you for listening. Remember to share, like, subscribe, press the notification bell, leave a comment if you will. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.